Okay, picture this scenario. It's late, let's say 11:30 p.m. You're lying on your bed and you're telling yourself, and probably anyone who will listen, that you are completely exhausted. You're saying, I am too tired to do anything. My brain is fried. I can't function.
Right. I have zero energy left.
And yet, look at your thumb.
It's moving.
It is moving. Swipe, swipe, swipe. You're scrolling through your phone. 10 minutes pass, then 20, and then suddenly 40 minutes have just vanished.
And you claimed you had zero energy, but you just processed hundreds of images, videos, captions.
It's the great modern paradox, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
We say we're too depleted to read a single page of a book, but we somehow have the energy for endless scrolling.
Exactly. And that is the hook for today's deep dive. We're tackling that universal guilt trip. I wish I could read more. I wish I could improve my English faster, but I just don't have the time.
But the reality, as our sources really point out, is that time isn't usually the issue. I mean, we all have the same 24 hours.
Right.
The issue is energy, specifically how our brains are wired to react to stimulation in this digital age.
Today, we are on a mission. We aren't just going to tell you to read more books because, it's a nice thing to do.
No.
We were unpacking a specific daily habit that acts as a gym for your attention span. And this is crucial for you listening right now, a massive shortcut to English fluency.
The idea is, if you listen to this advice and apply it once a day, the sources suggest your English will improve fast.
We're pulling these insights directly from the English Leap podcast and the Speak English with Class methodology. We're looking at the intersection of neuroscience, habit formation,
and of course, language acquisition.
It's fascinating stuff because it completely reframes reading. It stops being a chore like doing the laundry, and it starts looking like a biological necessity for a tired brain.
A repair mechanism, really. It's about fixing the damage done by all the noise of the day.
So let's dive in. The source material uses this really vivid analogy right off the bat to explain why we scroll when we're tired.
Oh, the fast food one.
Yes. It compares modern digital content, TikToks, Reels, that kind of thing, to fast food. And it compares reading to a slow, home-cooked meal.
It's a perfect comparison. I mean, think about fast food. It's engineered to be enjoyable instantly. It's salty, sweet, fatty. It's just easy.
Right. You don't have to work for it.
No. And digital content is the same. No. It is engineered for a quick dopamine hit. The colors, the sounds, the quick cuts, it satisfies a craving immediately. But just like fast food, it doesn't really feed you.
You feel empty after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You rarely finish a 40-minute scrolling session and think, wow, I feel so nourished and refreshed.
No, usually I just feel a bit gross.
Right.
Whereas a home-cooked meal takes time, it takes effort, but it actually nourishes you.
Precisely. And this is where it gets really interesting for the brain. When you're watching a video, the world is built for you. The sound, the colors, the faces, it's all provided. Your brain is, well, it's pretty passive.
You're just sitting there letting it wash over you. It's like being a passenger in a car instead of driving it.
That's a great way to put it. But when you read, your brain has to wake up. It has to take these abstract little black marks on a page and paint the whole picture itself.
It has to build the world.
Yes. The voices, the scenery, the emotion, and the source describes this state as quiet, active rest.
Quiet, active rest. I love that. It explains why reading feels different than napping, but also totally different than scrolling.
Exactly. Napping is shutting down. Scrolling is just frantic passivity. But reading is active and it's rhythmic and focused. But this is so hard for us today because we are living in what the source calls the microwave age.
The microwave age. Everything has to be instant.
Yes. 10-second videos, instant messages, notifications pinging all day. Our focus has basically adapted to that speed. We're trained to expect a reward every 3 seconds.
And if we don't get it, we twitch.
We do.
There was this painfully relatable anecdote in the source material about this. The speaker talks about trying to be the aesthetic reading girl. You know the vibe, right?
Oh, I know the vibe perfectly. It's all over social media.
She lights a nice candle, makes a perfect cup of tea, puts on cozy socks. She's setting the scene.
Ready for that perfect Instagram-worthy moment.
And let me guess. It doesn't go to plan.
Not at all. 5 minutes later, she kind of wakes up and realizes she's on her phone. And the irony is, she is looking at pictures of other people reading on Pinterest instead of actually reading the book in her lap.
Oh, that is tragic. But it's such a classic example of the modern attention crisis. The intention is there. She wants to read.
But the neural pathways for sustained focus are weak. Her brain is just screaming, where's the next shiny thing? Where's the beep? Where's the flash?
It's like withdrawal. It sounds funny, but it's actually really hard to overcome that. So how do we fix it?
The source frames reading as a tiny gym for your attention. And just like a real gym, the first 2 minutes are always the hardest.
Right. The warm-up is always the worst part. You just want to go home.
Exactly. When you start reading, it feels uncomfortable. Your mind wants to run away.
Yeah.
You suddenly remember you need to check your email. Or you wonder what the weather's like tomorrow.
Anything but the page in front of you.
But, and this is the key insight, if you stay with it, if you just push through that initial resistance, your thoughts eventually line up.
The source used a great metaphor for this. They said it's like walking from a noisy, crowded party into a quiet library.
Yes. At first, the silence feels too big. It's almost boring. Your ears are still ringing from the noise. You feel jittery. But after a few minutes,
Your shoulders drop.
your breathing slows down. It becomes a physiological change, not just a mental one.
I think that's a huge aha moment. We usually think of reading as mental work, like studying, but the source emphasizes it as a way to physically regulate your nervous system.
Exactly. It's meditation with a prop.
Yeah.
But let's pivot, because we promised to connect this to language learning. How does this actually make your English better?
This is the core promise, right? If I'm an English learner, why is this slow meal better than, say, just using a flashcard app for 10 minutes?
This is where we move from general brain health to specific language acquisition. The source compares seeing new words in the context of a story to lifting a small weight.
Lifting weights again. We are really working out today.
We are. But think about the difference. If you memorize a word from a list, say the word reluctant, it's just static. It's just a definition.
Unwilling and hesitant.
Right. You have the data, but you don't have any experience with it.
Yeah, you memorize it, you quiz yourself, you move on. It feels like math.
But when you read, you see a character who is reluctant to open a door because they're scared. You feel their hesitation. You guess the meaning from the context.
You're building a web, not just a list.
Correct. You're building what the source calls neural trails. Every book is a trail in your mind. The more trails you walk, the easier it is to move around inside your own head.
And for an English learner, that's the difference between translating a sentence, which is so slow and clunky,
And just knowing what to say. Because you've walked that trail before.
that is the holy grail of fluency. Thinking in the language, not translating into it.
And it's not just about functional words. The source talks a lot about emotional vocabulary. This is huge for moving past the basics.
You mean moving past, I'm fine or I'm bad?
Exactly. Basic English gets the job done, sure. You can order a coffee, but it doesn't allow for nuance. It doesn't let you really connect with another person.
But reading exposes you to characters who say, I feel empty, or I feel overwhelmed, or I feel hopeful.
Overwhelmed is such a useful word, isn't it? I probably use it 3 times a week.
Me too. And when a learner encounters these words in a story, they're not just learning a definition, they're learning the feeling that goes with the word.
They can start to name their own feelings in English.
So instead of just translating, I am sad, they can express, I'm feeling a bit drained today. It allows people to really see you.
And that connects to the empathy factor. I mean, reading is essentially borrowing someone else's eyes.
The source gives some really touching examples of this. One was reading about a father working at sea.
Right. Imagine a father away for months on a ship. Even if your life is totally different, you get to feel his guilt, his love, that distance.
Or the example of the unlikable character. That one is tough.
Yes, reading from the perspective of someone you wouldn't even want to be friends with. But as you read, you see their fear, their secrets. You start to understand why they are the way they are.
And the practical application of that is fascinating. The source says it actually changes how you view rude people in your own life.
It does. When someone is rude to you, instead of just getting angry, that little reading brain might kick in, and you might think, maybe they're carrying a heavy story today.
You've trained your empathy muscle.
Okay, so we've got the brain gym, we've got the empathy muscle, the neural trails for fluency.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get tactical. The source provided a specific word tour.
Yes, the toolkit. These are high-value vocabulary terms you can use immediately. Let's start with energy levels, since that's where we began. We mentioned exhausted.
Right, so exhausted is when your energy tank is empty. It's often physical, your body is tired. But the source distinguishes this from being drained.
Drained? That feels different. How would you describe that difference?
Well, drained is more emotional or mental. Imagine a sink full of water, and you just pull the plug, that's being drained. You might sit in a chair all day so your body isn't exhausted, but after 6 hours of Zoom meetings.
Oh, you feel drained, heavy, empty inside.
Exactly. And that leads to the next phrase, wind down.
To wind down, that gentle transition between, work and sleep.
And the argument is that reading helps you wind down, whereas scrolling keeps the brain agitated. It's the off switch.
Okay, now habits. There were some great phrasal verbs here. Get around to.
Get around to. This implies there's something you wanted to do, but you keep delaying it. Finally, you get around to reading that book.
I am constantly trying to get around to organizing my closet. It's been on my list for 6 months.
We all have that list. And then there's the phrase, hit a wall.
Oh, I know this one. I hit a wall every day around 3:0 p.m.
In the context of reading, the source says it's normal to hit a wall after a few minutes. It's that sudden feeling of being blocked. You can't focus.
And the advice is to know that hitting a wall is temporary. If you push gently past it, you find your flow. But speaking of flow, we have lose track of time.
This one cuts both ways, doesn't it? You can lose track of time in a good way, getting lost in a story.
Or you can lose track of time in a bad way, doom scrolling until 2 a.m., which usually happens when you fall down a rabbit hole.
Another great term. You click one link, then another and another, until you're deep into a topic you never planned to view.
Guilty. I once spent 2 hours watching people restore rusty knives. No, I know why. I don't own a rusty knife.
That is a classic rabbit hole. It's interesting, but is it nourishing? Probably not.
Okay, moving to attitude. The source mentioned being narrow-minded.
Yeah, this ties back to the empathy piece. A narrow-minded person refuses to accept other ideas. And reading is seen as the cure for that, because it forces you into other perspectives.
And finally, a word we are all obsessed with, productive.
This is such an important reframe. We often feel guilty about reading because we think we should be doing something productive.
Right, I'm just sitting here and being lazy.
But the source argues that because reading trains your focus and empathy, it is productive. Resting your brain actively is a productive use of your time. You're sharpening the saw.
I love that. So we have the vocabulary, we understand the why, but for the listener who's thinking, okay, this sounds great, but a whole book feels like climbing a mountain, what's the strategy? How do we actually do this?
The source is very, very clear on this. Start tiny.
How tiny are we talking?
10 minutes, or 10 pages, or just one short chapter. That mountain metaphor is perfect because a page of black and white text looks intimidating to a brain addicted to colorful video.
You have to lower the barrier. If you tell yourself, I have to read for an hour, you'll probably never start.
But I'll read for 10 minutes. Anyone can do that.
Yeah.
But there is one crucial rule, the golden rule of the reading habit.
What is it?
The phone must be away.
Not just like face down on the table.
No, further. In a bag, on a shelf, in another room. You have to remove the option to switch instantly. If it's within arm's reach, your muscle memory will grab it the second you hit a wall.
That makes so much sense. You need to create some friction.
And the source also suggests being a creature of habit. Same time, same corner, same cup of tea.
You're training your brain. The tea and the chair become the trigger that says, okay, it's focus time now.
It creates a ritual. And rituals are so powerful for changing behavior.
Now, what about what to read? I think some people feel like if they aren't reading, War and Peace, it doesn't count.
The source completely debunks that idea. There is no correct thing to read.
They broke it down into fiction and nonfiction, right?
Yes. They described fiction as being for comfort, for escape, for exploring those big questions.
And nonfiction?
Nonfiction is for fuel, for inspiration, for real stories. And they say you don't have to pick a team. You can switch. Read a fantasy novel one month, a survival story the next.
The key is just that you are reading.
Exactly. The act of processing the text is the benefit, regardless of the genre. Your brain is building those neural trails, whether you're reading about dragons or economics.
So let's bring this all together. We've covered a lot today, from the fast food content to the empathy of fiction.
If we summarize the core message, it's really this. You aren't broken and you aren't lazy because you scroll. You just live in a very loud world that is literally designed to steal your attention.
And reading is the pause button. It stops the world from shouting at you for a few minutes.
And in that quiet, you are actually building a stronger brain and a richer vocabulary.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener. We want you to use one of the new phrases we talked about today. Maybe tell someone you need to wind down.
Or that you're trying to cut down on screen time. Or just admit you went down a rabbit hole yesterday. Using the vocabulary makes it stick.
And I want to leave you with this provocative thought from the source material. It's something that really stuck with me. If you feel guilty about sitting down with a book because you think you should be cleaning or working, consider this. That hobby, that book, brings you peace. And while you are resting, you are quietly training your brain's focus. So that 10 minutes of reading might actually be the most productive thing you do all day.
That is a powerful thought. In a world of noise, focus really is a superpower.
Absolutely. So go find your calm corner, put the phone in the other room, and just see what happens.
You might just find that the wall disappears.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Happy reading!